and today I'm going to be talking about brows. I've actually had a couple of requests to do this video and I was super happy to do it because I love brows. So before I show you how I fill my brows in, I'm going to talk about a few different products that I really like. So as bad as I don't want to, I am going to show you what my brows used to look like before I grew them out and filled them in. It's really embarrassing now because I thought that I had good brows, but you will see soon enough that that was not the case. I'm going to go ahead and insert that picture. Like I said, I thought I had good brows. I don't know what I was thinking. I actually got my brows done today. Shout out to Allison. If y'all are in Tennessee and in the Knoxville area, I highly recommend the Brow Bar at Ulta on Paper Mill, the new one. The girls there are awesome, April and Allison. So I'm going to go ahead and talk about some different products. The first one I'm going to talk about is from Anastasia Beverly Hills. This is the first brow product that I ever used and I still use it today because I love it and I think that it's very easy to use. I personally would recommend this if you're just starting out because it's easy for me starting off, and like I said, this was the first product I ever used. A lot of people suggest a powder for beginners, but I guess it's just a personal preference, whatever you feel more comfortable with. And the product I am talking about is the Brow Wiz. She's known for her brow products, so you know she's going to have awesome products. And on one end there is a spoolie, and on the other end is the pencil, and it just twists up. And in case you're curious, if you want to kind of compare your hair and mine, I use the color Soft Brown. And the next product by her is the Dip Brow Pomade, once again in Soft Brown. I personally wouldn't recommend this if you're just starting out because it is a pomade, so it's a little bit thicker and it's a little darker. When you first start filling in your brow, it's going to look awkward to you. It does take a little while to get used to it. I've been filling my brows in I think since April or May, and my mom is still getting used to me filling in my brows because, as you can tell from that awful picture I showed y'all, I liked my brows pretty thin. So this is what the pomade looks like. As you can see, it's a little bit thicker. And I just use the Anastasia brow pencil. You can use any brow pencil you want. You don't have to get the Anastasia one. I just personally wanted it. Here is what it looks like on one end, and of course on the other is the spoolie. A spoolie is going to be your best friend when filling in your brows. Think of it as your blender brush. So you definitely need one. I think the majority of brow brushes have one on the other end. I don't think they do if it's for a powder, but I do recommend getting one that has the spoolie on the other end. Okay, so this next product, I really like it, especially if I'm wanting a more natural look and if I'm not wearing a whole lot of makeup. It is a mousse, so it's kind of gel-like, but it's not as thick as the pomade. So this would also be another good product for beginners, and it's by Tarte, and it is the Amazonian Clay Waterproof Brow Mousse, and I use medium brown. This is what it looks like. And then there is what it looks like inside. So you can tell it's not as thick. That's why I think that it would be great for a beginner product as well, because it's not as thick as the pomade. And the great thing about the Tarte one is it comes with a brow brush. So these two come together. So I really like that. The Anastasia one you have to buy separate, but that is a really good brand. And the Tarte one has a spoolie on one end as well. And then this brush is a little, it's not as long and it's a little bit thicker this way. I will show you in comparison. So the gold one is the Tarte, and then the silver and black one is the Anastasia. So you can see the Anastasia one is a little taller and thinner, and this one's kind of short and fat. But the reason why I love the Tarte one is this is the same exact shape as the beginning of my brow. And when I first started filling in my brows, the beginning of my brow was kind of tricky for me to fill in. So that's what I love about this, and that's why I think it would be a great beginner. Okay, so I want to talk real quick about 2 more products. I don't have them with me, but I wanted to talk about them. They are both by Benefit. Benefit also, of course, has awesome brow products because they have the Benefit Brow Bar. The first product I want to talk about by them is the Gimme Brow. That is great if you don't want to fill your brows in, but you want them to look a little thicker because it has a fiber gel in it. Fiber gel grabs on your brow hair, and so it makes your brows appear fuller without having to fill them in. So that's a great option if you're new to brows, or if you don't want to fill them in, just want them to be a little thicker. And then another great brow product by Benefit is the Brow-Zing. Those 2 are the most popular brow products they have. The Brow-Zing is awesome because it's everything all in one little palette. It has a powder and a wax. The powder, of course, is to fill in your brows, and then the wax just helps everything stay in place, your brows stay in place throughout the day. Then it comes with 2 different brushes and a mini tweezers. So that one is awesome. You have everything right there. You don't have to do a separate clear brow gel and filling them in and tweeze if you need to. So that one is awesome as well. Wanting to grow your brows out, I do recommend going to a brow professional just so they can kind of show you where you need to grow out, where you can go ahead and wax. And I personally love the Benefit Brow Bar, not just because I used to work at Ulta and not just because that's where I go. I just love how they brow map you. I was actually, when I was working at Ulta, able to go to a Benefit training, so I learned how to brow map, and I absolutely love that way. I've actually learned 2 ways, the Benefit way and then a way I learned also when I was in school. Okay, so now real quick, I'm going to show you where your brows should start, end, and where your arch should be. So the first way I'm going to show you is the Benefit way. You'll need some kind of thin stick. To find out where your brow should start, you're going to want to place it right, that dip in your nose. Have to look in the mirror. So you put that there and go straight up, and then you mark right beside it. And then your arch will be when you start right underneath your nose, right there at the corner, and you'll either go through your pupil or at the edge of your eye. Mine is naturally at the edge of my eye, so I will make my little mark right there. And then you'll just do the same thing and go to the end and make your little mark there. Then you just connect the dots. Always follow your natural hairline. You'll see when I fill my brows in just how I go right where my natural hairline is. So the way I learned in school is you start where your tear duct is. So as you can see, if I wanted to start at my tear duct, I would take a little bit off. And then for your arch, we learned it's right at the edge of your eye. And then after you find your arch, where your brow ends will be the same distance from the beginning to your arch, so the arch to the end. So that's how you tell where your brow should end. Where your brow should start, I think, kind of depends on how close set your eyes are. If you kind of have close set eyes, start at your tear duct. And then if your eyes are kind of further apart, if you want them to appear closer together, then I would do the Benefit way. So your brows are a little closer, and that will kind of bring your eyes in close. Just about every makeup brand now has some sort of brow product. So you can get any kind of brow product at Walmart, Target, Walgreens. If you do want to splurge a little and get a higher end brow product, I do recommend going to Ulta. When you buy a product at Ulta and you try it out and you don't like it, you can return it. I'm not sure if Sephora does that. I do know for a fact that Ulta does it. So that way, if you want to spend a little more on a brow product, you won't just be stuck with it if you don't like it. Again, I love Anastasia, but I love all the ones I mentioned. But if you're just now starting to fill your brows in, I would kind of play around with some less expensive products, just like some drugstore brands, just so you can see what kind of medium you like better, whether you like powder, a gel, or a pencil better. Okay, so now I'm going to quit talking and show you how I fill my brows in. If you want to see how I fill them in, just keep watching. Okay, so the first thing you want to do is take your spoolie and brush through your brows. This is going to remove all of the excess products such as your foundation if you put that on first. And always remember to brush the way your hair grows. So at the beginning, brush up and then go to the side as you move on out. So you'll have to bear with me during this part because I just got a new camera, so I'm still trying to figure everything out. And the camera doesn't have a viewfinder that flips, so I'm actually looking at my viewfinder in the mirror. So at one point of my brows, I was completely out of the viewfinder, so I'm actually going to fast forward through this brow so you can see the other brow a little bit better. Okay, so I stay in the viewfinder a little better on this brow, and what I like to do first is just brush all of my brow hairs up. That way I can just see that natural line a little better. If you remember to just stay at your natural hairline, it will make this so much easier. Just remember to use small, soft strokes, that way it mimics hair and looks more natural. So now I'm just going to repeat the same thing for the top. I'm brushing my brow hairs down so I can see that top natural hairline, and I'm just using soft, small strokes again. So now what I'm doing is just brushing my brow hairs back in place, and I'm just going to fill them in. When you're filling them in, remember to go the way the hair grows as well. So at the beginning, out of the viewfinder again, but I'm going up with the way the hair is growing, and then I'm filling in that top line a little bit more, and then just using the small soft strokes again to make sure there's not any bald spots and I have them filled in the way that I like. So this is when your spoolie is like your blending brush. After I get done filling them in, I always take the end of my spoolie brush just to go over everything and make sure there's not any harsh lines. So you can see the big difference that filling in your brows make, and I like the way they are looking. So now I'm going to go in with the Highbrow by Benefit and just highlight right underneath my brow. It just makes them look more defined. To be completely honest, I never do this step. I just highlight underneath my arch whenever I finish doing my eyeshadow. Okay, all done. Just kidding. What I like to do is just take my finger to just blend this out. You can use a brush, but I like the way it looks when I blend it out with my finger. And now that we have that blended out and highlighted, we are now all done. So that's how I fill my brows in. If you're just starting out, I recommend a pencil and a powder. That way you can kind of play around with the two different products so you can see which one you like better. Once again, I do recommend going to Ulta because if you try it and don't like it, you can always return it. But it's all just personal preference with brows, just whatever you're more comfortable with. But have fun with it. Don't stress about it. And the best part about makeup is it washes off. So if you try something and you don't like it, you can wipe it off and try again. So I hope that you enjoyed this video. I hope it helped with all your brow questions. If you have any other questions, feel free to leave it in the comments below. I'll be happy to answer them for you. And be sure to give this video a thumbs up if you liked it, and subscribe if you haven't already. I make a new video every week, and I think that is all I have to say. So until next time, bye y'all.